So our next and final breakout session, or as we finish up the conference, we're going to have some of our committee members just come on camera, and we have named this session "Where do we go from here?" And it's really an opportunity for folks to give us feedback, but to also talk about some of the takeaways that you had from this conference, and we'll talk about next steps. And so that's where we are today. Before we get started, what I wanted to do is just say thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of our speakers that so graciously gave their time and your your knowledge that we really cannot pay for. We really just thank you so much for taking your time to spend time with us today, or if you were a speaker yesterday, thank you so much. We also want to give a special thank you to our sponsors, because we would not be able to host such a dynamic event without generous donations from our sponsors, and to have exceptional speakers like Miss Ira Wallace and Leah Pennyman and Malik Yakini. So please, if there's other folks out there who would want to donate to our conference next year, please let us know. We are always looking for ways to expand our network. And with that being said, we are actually in the process of working on building a Black farming network. And so we are asking all of our attendees who are not a part of our Black farming network yet to please join us. If you would like to be a part of the Black farming network, you can email us at blackfarmersconferenceoh@gmail.com. Right now, we are building out a quarterly newsletter, and we also have quarterly roundtable discussions with our Black farming community to discuss relevant topics, as well as it's just an opportunity to get together and just convene with one another. That email address again is blackfarmers with an S conference OH@gmail.com, and I can also place that in the chat. Community Solutions Agraria is the main host for our Black Farming Conference, and this is actually not the this is not the only conference that Community Solutions hosts. So I ask that you please take some time to visit our website or visit us on our Facebook page to enjoy other conferences that Agraria puts on as well. We do have some really amazing folks who are researchers and are really just experts in their field, such as Beth Bridgman, who is a seed saver herself, who is working on other initiatives with Agraria. And so please follow us on Facebook, visit us on our website, and there's so much more that we have to offer. And so thank you all. I see a few of my committee members have joined, so we can go ahead and maybe briefly go around, and each of us can just give a brief takeaway. One of the things, I guess I'll start until folks are ready to start talking, but one of the takeaways that I have, first of all, I'll say we really came together last year and had this idea, and really it was Dr. Kevin Magruder who had the vision of having a Black farming conference and just really celebrating the contributions that Black farmers have always had and contributed to this great nation. And we had some great speakers last year, but this year we really had some dynamic and just fascinating speakers that really spoke to our theme for this year. And yesterday we heard from Dr. Gordon Nimhard, and she talked about the history of cooperatives, and education is so important. I believe earlier Malik talked about how we can go through our entire American educational society and may not hear anything about some of the contributions that Black and other underrepresented folks have really contributed to this country, which is so important. Education and knowing your history is just really critical. And with that being said, I was really just taken aback by how many Black cooperatives have been started. Over 160, I believe, is what Dr. Gordon Nimhard quoted during the 20th century. And so that was something that was really fascinating to me. She also talked about how there were tons of co-ops, Black co-ops, in the 60s that were really developed here in all of the great larger cities in Ohio. So Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus. One of the co-ops that she mentioned was a newspaper that was started in Cleveland, which is my hometown. And so that's one of the takeaways that I had. I'm always just so elated by all of the information that I learned from these dynamic speakers that we have. And so I'm going to stop talking and pass it over to one of my colleagues who also wants to talk about takeaways. And thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Ariella. I'll go next. I am just saturated with information and excitement about what we have done this year. It was so rich and so deep, and there's so many tributaries that we tied together here. And I think my biggest takeaway was putting all those things into a social justice aspect, you know, and recognizing the importance of the land and the importance of food and seeing how that all tied together. I was also so impressed with the depth of knowledge that each one of our presenters had and their historical perspective, which was really amazing. And the sad part was what Malik said about nobody knows this history. We don't get it in school. Most of us don't hear it at home. Many of us have no access to this. So this conference, to me, is a very, very vital instrument in bringing people together to share the history, to recognize what the resources are, to see how instrumental this piece is with all the other aspects of social justice, you know, and how blessed we are with so many incredible people who are sharing this story. So I just think it was amazing, and I'm so grateful to have been a part of it. Just come sit down.
Thank you, Cheryl, so much.
Yeah, I want, first of all, I wanted to say a real shout out to Ariella, who has been really our leader for 2 years. We're so grateful to you and your intelligence and your drive and your compassion, and yeah, even being a new mother of a beautiful baby, you still managed to pull it off. So thank you to Ariella. And then I just also did want to give a shout out. I was really blown away by this conference. It's really, I don't think I would have believed that we could have had a better conference than last year, because last year was so exciting. But I also did want to mention, which I think got said in some sessions, but one of the exciting things for me is that last year after the conference, there was a Black Farmer Network that was formed, and there have been a couple networking sessions. And if you are interested, I believe, Rachel, that everybody who signed up for the conference will automatically be added to our mailing list, so you'll get word about that. We also have a land access workshop scheduled for October 23rd with a lot of interesting speakers, mostly regional speakers, but I think even folks who are not from Ohio would be interested in being part of that. And then Rachel, I think you put a link to our journal on the chat, but just to let people know, if they are on our mailing list, that we actually do have conferences throughout the year. We have one in November on water, and the journals are really a great way to kind of deepen your understanding also of our work. We have this upcoming journal will have a focus on the Black Farming Conference, and then we have a journal in the spring that's going to be all about Black farming. So please do keep your eye open for those. And Cheryl and Kanisha also, and Ariella are also featured in our current journal. So please have a look. But thanks again for everyone for coming. It was really a very moving experience. Thanks, Ariella.
Beth or Rachel?
I would just, I'm always so heartened that the folks doing the work are focusing on the joy and the hope. And so I really felt that. And so Virginia Nazaria is another seed saver, a Filipina seed saver and researcher who works out of the University of Georgia. And I heard her also at Seed Savers Conference one time talking about marginality and memory and the importance of diversity. And diversity is found in the hedgerows. I mean, you don't find it in the monocropping, you find it in the hedgerows. That's where we are. We are all in the hedgerows. We are the small folks doing this small work, and that's where all the diversity is. And look at this diverse conference, and that's where the hope is too, and that's what's going to save us. And so it was just such a joy for me to be a part of this conference, to see and to hear, Miss Ira talk about all these young farmers that I didn't know doing this work. It was just so exciting. So I'm really heartened. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Beth. Rachel, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, one of the things that just really stood out to me, and hopefully I'm not too loud, is that, as someone who's like working in this like Center for Regenerative Practice, I think something that I've just really acknowledged, and I think a lot of people I've come around have said, oh, is this some new thing? I think all of us here know that's not true at all. And I'm always happy to share with them that no, there's so many Black Indigenous peoples for time immemorial that have been utilizing these practices and caretaking for the land. And so I think for me, I'm just sitting here so grateful to be able to listen and learn.
Is there anyone else from the conference committee that wants to make any remarks?
Okay, I just want to say one thing. I think we would be very remiss not to acknowledge our wizard of technology, who is just amazing, outstanding, and it's so reassuring to have someone with your expertise, Rachel. Thank you so very, very much.
So now I am actually going to read a comment from one of our conference attendees, from Marilyn Moore. She says, the conference special guests were all visionary, Malik, Leah, and Ira. And yet all of them also gave us so much specific technological knowledge. The content of this conference was very valuable. Good feelings of kindred spirits who have met each other. And so I really do think that just that comment really sums up what today was really all about. And I want to thank each and every one of you who continue to follow our conference and who were able to join us here today. I am going to end it on that note, but I ask you all to please make sure that you come and see what we're doing in the future. We're going to be hosting this conference again, and we're also going to again be expanding our network. And lastly, we are imploring you for feedback. So we will be emailing you a survey, and we ask that you just take a few moments to fill out that survey so we can best serve you. I don't know if I've said this before, but to just be completely transparent, none of the committee members are actually farmers. We are just very passionate about this work, and we want to support you. And so it's very important for us to make sure that we are providing resources and giving you the access that you want. And so we really want to hear from you. And so with that being said, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we look forward to working with you and seeing you all next year. Thank you.
Oh, hi and goodbye, and see some of you soon.